Hello students, welcome to ITSC 203 Object Oriented Programming. So in this video, I'm going to present chapter 1, that is Object Oriented Programming Concepts. So objective of this chapter is to discuss about the key features of Java technology, to identify the concepts of Object Oriented Programming, describe the different phases of Java programs, the importance of JVM, and the environment where we are going to work, that is NetBeans IDE. So after completing this chapter, you will be able to understand all about this. Now I would like to give differentiation between the procedural language programming with object-oriented programming system. So what is the procedural oriented programming? So procedural oriented programming is actually a sequence of coding. So the program will be executed line by line, one after another, that is shown in the figure. For example, step 1, 2, 3 up to 5 is there. So step by step execution will be happening. So this is the old programming model or traditional one. And in the object oriented programming, it is all about creation and working with the object that will be interacting one another or one among others. Okay, look into the figure. For example, we have different object here. One after another it is communicating for its own purpose. So objects are communicating and working with this. So it is not like the sequence of programming, but objects are interacting one another, can happen in any sequence. That is what we are going to achieve here in the object-oriented programming. Now let us look at the roles of object-oriented programming system in the software development. So using any programming language, we are going to develop softwares. Okay, by using object-oriented program also, we are going to develop a software. What are the roles behind using the object-oriented programming system? The main thing is modularity. Modularity is nothing but it is a code, source code that we are typing. So the source code of any object. So the source code we are going to type will be created as an object. That object is independent of other object source code. One object is independent with another object. An object can easily pass around inside the system. So you may have any number of objects within the project or within your system, and any object can be easily communicate with other system, but within the project, within the system itself. That is modularity. So modularity means we are segregating the modules. We are segregating or dividing the source code into different objects. Next is information hiding. So as you know that in our project we can have n number of modules or segregation of code that will be created as an object. When we go into the information hiding, one object can hide the information from the other object. So this is what information hiding, so or data hiding we can say. So information or data is hidden from other objects. So one object is having some data, you wanted to protect its data with other objects, so it is possible to protect. That is what information hiding. So other out of this again we have we can have many number of objects within the project. Again all these objects will be accessible within the system but not outside the world. Outside the world means other project cannot be accessed this unless you give permission or globally declared access to that. It's not basically allowed. Within the project only it is allowed, though it is having a information hiding. Whichever that want to share or communicate, that will be communicated or used. Otherwise, if you have protected your data, one object cannot be communicated or shared the data with other objects. Code reuse. Code reuse in a sense, whatever the code that we are making can be reusable. So we can reuse or make use of same code again. So we are reducing the burden of coding or lengthy coding. So that possibility is there in the object-oriented programming system. Whatever that we created can be reused again. Next is pluggability and debugging easy. Whatever the object that you want, you are working with the project, you don't need any object, we can simply remove it. If we want to add any other project, we can add that object. So this is what pluggability. Okay, how we are going to debug? For example, you have some problem with some particular object. That object we can simply remove. So we can add a new code with a new object. So it is very easy. For example, we can take a example. When you are going to look into the mechanical problems where there is a problem with some bolt, we can simply remove it and we can replace that bolt or screw or some part of mechanical machine, but not the entire system we are going to replace. So this is a good example in the real world. Now we will discuss about the concepts and the program structure of object-oriented programming. So we used to say OOP, OOPS, object-oriented programming, or OOPS, object-oriented programming system, we can say. So now I can say what is OOP. It's object-oriented programming. It's a methodology to design a program using objects. So we are going to use objects always. These objects contain characteristics and behaviors. So characteristics, in a sense, it is all about data, and behavior nothing but it is a method. So data is our fields or the variables, and methods, the method that you are going to write. So objects are going to have our data and our methods. So we used to say technically it's a characteristics or behaviors. Okay, so method can have behaviors or characteristics. So that is bind up in the object. Okay, so this object will be dealt with object-oriented programming. So now we can see what is object. It's nothing but piece of code. Okay, autonomous code, or we can say piece of code that interacts with the other object to solve the problem. So you may have a big problem that can be divided into small tasks. So all these tasks can be created as a separate object, and one object can be connected to solve with another object. So objects are interacting each other or one among others to solve any problems. It's nothing but piece of code, that's all. So in the object-oriented programming, what are the concepts we have? So we can have a class, we may have objects, we have polymorphism, we have encapsulation, we have inheritance, we have abstraction. We are going to discuss all about this in the forthcoming slides. As you know already about objects, now we are again discussing the same. Object is nothing but it is an entity. We can say it is an entity. Every object can be an entity that has a property. Property means we can also say as an attribute, nothing but it is our variable, or we can say as a fields. And the behaviors, nothing but it is a method. The method that we are going to have is known as objects. For example, if you are going to take about chair, we can say that the part of method. So what are the parts? We have wood, we have screws. What is the purpose? The screws, wood and all are the attributes. What is the method? I mean, we are going to use the chair for sitting, or we can use to move the chairs. So like that, we can have any entity. For example, you can take a pen, table, keyboard, and any physical logical equipments. Okay, for example, I can give another one. We can take a car as an object. It has a color. Every car has a color, model, brand. So these are all the properties. So what is the property of the car? Every car has a color. Every car has a model, brand. So those are the properties. And when you look into the behavior or the method, car can move forward, backward, can be stopped. So these are the methods that we can have in the car. So I hope you understand about the object. Now we will go to the class. So what is the class? Class is something like it is defined an object. So every class is going to have an object, or it can have, simply I can say it is a template or prototype or blueprint of your individual objects. So every class is actually a template, or we can say it's a prototype, or we can say it's a blueprint of every individual object that is created individually. So we can say an object is an instance of a class. One object you are creating it is an instance for a class. So object is created for the class only. So every object has inside a class. So for every class we are going to create an object. So we can simply say an object is an instance for a class. Now we go to the next technique, that is encapsulations. Encapsulation, in a sense, it is a mechanism, just it's a method. just wrapping a data and code into a single unit. We are going to wrap a data or combine the data into a single unit for our purpose. So wrapping a data, what data we are, that is nothing but our property, and the code is nothing but the method or behavior. We are going to put it in a single unit. Okay, so the single unit is called encapsulation. So you know that in medicine we used to say capsule. So if you look into the diagram, it is the capsule that we have. So it consists of a method and variable are the fields. So methods are the behaviors, variable nothing but it is a properties. So it is actually, the capsule is actually a class. So each and every class will have a method and variable. So we are encapsulating into a single unit, nothing but it is an object. Now we go to the next topic in the concept, that is inheritance. Inheritance, in a sense, it is a capability of one class acquire the properties of another class. For example, if you have too many classes in the project, we can make reuse of your classes. One class is returned, so that class object or properties or the behaviors you want to use it in another class. Yes, of course we can use it. It's called inheritance. We are inheriting the property of one class into the another class, or acquire the properties of another class to some other class. So we may have a parent-child relationship between two classes. So every individual inheritances have a relationship, parent-child relationship. So when we go to the polymorphism, so polymorphism is another technique where we can take one name into many forms. One method you have written means that method can be reused again in another form. Or one task you have written already means that the same task, same code can be used in another form. So it's, for example, one real world example we can say that switchboard. In switchboard we have several switches. All switches are the same, but it is going to do different tasks. It may switch on lights in the room, or maybe in the hall, or maybe in some other part of your house, or maybe you can use for your plug board. So here the one name is actually a switchboard. So like that we are going to write a method. That method will have a functionality but will be used for many forms. We are going to use reuse your code. It's also another form of reusability. Next concept is an abstractions. What is an abstraction? It is a class where you refer, we can say as an abstract class, creating a class which contains methods but without particular implementations. Yeah, it's going to have only the declaration of your methods. So whatever the method that you want, you are going to have an abstractions. Just you are going to define the methods in one class, and those methods can be implemented in another class. So for example, here we have a shape which is saying that calculate the area and display the information. So shape class have the method. This is defined method here in the abstractions. This is an abstraction. Abstract class is called shape. This abstract can be implemented in the rectangle class, or circle class, or in triangle class. In all these three classes, we need all these two methods: calculate the area of the rectangle, calculate the circle area, calculate the triangle. And you can also show the display information. So for example, this is a better one. Okay. So in any aspect you need to declare a method but not to be implemented. Those concept is called abstractions. Now we go to the what is Java. Basically we are going to discuss and we are going to use object oriented technique to be applied in Java programming. So for that reason we are going to discuss about what is Java. So Java is an object oriented programming. So in this course entirely we are going to use Java language. So Java language was developed in 1995 by Sun Microsystems and recently it is owned by Oracle Corporation. So it is actually free to use it. We can download and you can use it in any platform. Any platform, in a sense you are using different operating system, where any operating system will be supported here. Okay. Now we will discuss about the features of Java. Java is very simple. So as like other language, object oriented programming like C++, you may be familiar with in the previous courses. So C++ is a better object-oriented programming, whereas the same way you are going to learn in Java also, but with a better approach, and easy to use. So Java is an object-oriented. So objects are what we discussed earlier. It's an object model in a software that contains both state and behavior. So state and behavior are already discussed. Okay. So Java, what you are going to understand here is Java is a programming language which supports object-oriented technique or methods. Java is portable and platform independent. So portable in the sense we can easy to carry. For example, one project you did already, that project can be easily able to carry to other system. It's possible to transfer, and it can able to execute in any platform. That is what platform independent. It can be executed and run anywhere in the world, we can say. Meaning you are using different operating system, I am using different operating system, you may have different architecture of your computer, I may have different architecture of computer. In any system, Java will be executed. That's what we used to say is platform independent. Java is robust. Robust in the sense it is a strongly typed program. So we have structures, formats, syntax we are going to follow for typing the program and complete the program. So that includes automatic memory management. So memory is automatically dealt, not like C++ or other languages. Here automatically maintained, and it is going to utilize the garbage collection. For example, you are constructing a memory using constructor, and there is no destructor in Java programming. So meaning automatically memory is released, and it is also provides the support of exception handling mechanism for any problem happens during the runtime. So there is a possibility to handle the errors. So exception handling mechanism is also provide good support. Java provides more security, so it's a secured. So Java memory management and compile time checking are two features to contribute the security purpose. And in behind to this we have a Java bytecode. So bytecode is the one which is machine code, cannot be read and understand by the user, and it's only understand by the JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Coming to the next feature called multi-threaded. Multi-threaded in a sense, it is multi-threading. So many number of programs many number of tasks can be executed simultaneously. For example, you are having a program. That program can be divided into smaller number of tasks. Those tasks can be executed simultaneously. So doing too many things in the same time used to say the technique is called multi-threading or multi-threaded programs. And now we can discuss about Java is very high performance system. So what is the high performance mean? The bytecode what is generated by the JVM after the compilation of your program can easily transferable or translated to machine code. So native machine code. So this native machine code is very high performance that is going to be used by just-in-time compiler. So JIT compiler we used to say. This JIT compiler is going to make use of high performance system by using the native machine code. So bytecode is the begin. So bytecodes are going to be it's actually a machine code, cannot be understood by the user as I said earlier. So these machine codes are generated by just-in-time compiler, which will be executed by the JVM. Now we can understand or identify the phases of Java program. As like other programming languages, of course we are going to write the program. So we are going to write the Java program here. Once we are writing the program, we are going to compile our source, and after compiling the program, it is going to be executed. So it is a compiler based. Some other languages may be there, you can say interpreter based. Okay, but Java is both compiler as well as interpreter. So when you are going to compile the program, it compiles and produces bytecode. When you are going to execute it, it will be interpreter. Java interpreter will be executing the program. That means line by line execution will happen. In order to work with the Java, we need a Java development kit. We used to say shortly JDK. JDK is a software development environment. Okay, we have to download from Oracle website, and especially our college will provide what you call the link where you are going to download, or we can also download it from Oracle website. Okay, it includes Java runtime environment for both interpreter and loader. So interpreter is the Java and the compiler is Java C. Okay, how to compile the Java program Java C using Java C. C is compiler Java C, and to execute we are having Java interpreter, that is Java. And once you are executed, it will produce automatic archive files. It is called JAR, Java archive files. And we can also generate the document using Java doc. So it's actually a tool. Some other tool is also there. If you need, we can also furtherly study about this one. And in the JDK, we have Java runtime environment. In Java runtime environment, we have JVM. So the JVM will understand all about the jar files. Okay, jar file will be executed by. So it's nothing but Java. The keyword we say previously as Java. No, this is the JVM which is going to execute our code. And this is what we discussed. We have Java, Java C, all these. So some tools are available. We can use it in our program. So all inclusive of this we used to say as a JDK, Java Development Kit. So we should have a knowledge about Java Virtual Machine, as I said earlier, about JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So it's actually a piece of tool or software that interpret our code, the code that we have on any platform. So any platform it is going to be. JVM is actually a platform independent, I can say. So it's a platform independent where is going to execute or interpret your actual bytecode into running code. So it is the one which is going to execute the program, nothing but your Java. Java is a tool, nothing but it's a JVM. Just it's a knowledge about what is the platform independent. Java C, that means it is the tool which used to call as a Java compiler that converts your program into intermediate code called bytecode. So that bytecode is stored in a form of .class files. So once you are compiled, once you are creating your Java file, it is with the extension of .java file. After we compile this code, it will be generated by .class file. Based on the class name, the .class file will be created. So bytecode generated a machine independent and non-executable code. So basically, when you are going to open it, we will not be able to understand it. It's machine code. But it is machine independent, meaning it can be executed anywhere in the, in any operating system, in any architecture. It needs interpreter to execute the machine. So interpreter is needed. So interpreter is nothing but the JVM. So JVM is the one which is going to interpret your bytecode. So without JVM in the system, we cannot execute. So every computer nowadays, is having JVM. So for example, you are accessing anything from the web sometime. You are not having JVM in, your Java code will not be executed. So JVM is important to execute the program. So now what we discuss is shown here. We have a Java program here that is going to be compiled. Once it is compiled, the bytecode will be produced. Once bytecode is produced, this bytecode can be executed, for example, in a Mac OS or in Windows or in Linux or in any other operating system that you have. So the same thing is explained here. We have, for example, Windows. Here we have first Java program. It's going to be compiled by Java compiler. Once it is compiled, it is going to be prepared with the first .class file. Assume that the first .java is having a class name with the first. So based on the class only, the class is going to be created here. Once Java class file is created, this Java class can be executed in Windows, Mac or in Linux or any other operating system. So this is all about the Java introduction. Now how we are going to work with the Java. Especially in this course, we are going to use NetBeans IDE. IDE means Integrated Development Environment. So NetBeans IDE is very helpful and it will be useful to create a project in an easy way. So we are going to use for this course with the NetBeans. So for example, this is the environment for NetBeans. where there is a menu here, and in which we can select the file menu to create the project. There is a new project here. We are going to select a new project here, and once a new project is selected, one dialog is appearing over here, and in which there is a category here. There are projects here. When you choose the Java in category, there are so many category of project that we can create in Java. So what we are going to do for this course is we are going to select the Java. So once we selected Java main in the right side, we can see the projects, so in which we are going to select the Java application, and we are going to proceed the next. And in the next dialog, you will be able to locate the project where you are going to save the project. By browsing the button, we are going to locate where you want to save, and we are going to give the file name. What is the file name that you want? And if you want to create a main method for every Java program, we need a main method. So you want to you have to select it, otherwise no main method will come, because you may be expected to create many classes, so in which you want to interact with the other classes. During that time, we sometime overall among the project we need only one main method, not for many different classes. Okay, only one class will have main method. In that purpose, you need only one class will have main method. So other classes you don't need we can release it. And finally we are going to say finish. And if you want to add main class separately also, we can also go. If you are not added previously, you can also go and select right click over here in the project, and we can select new, and where you can select the main class if you need, or normal class if you need. Okay. So the same way, if you are going to, for example, create a main class, you can give the name, and you can proceed whatever the name that you want, you are going to give here, and you will finish here. So so in the main class, once it is created, for example, what will happen, you will find public static void main. Okay, public static void main is nothing but it is a main method. For example, if you are having a project which has many main method, whichever that is by defaultly connected. Sometime students will be having many main method, many classes created with the main method. Means you have to select that particular and right click over there and run it. That is also possible to execute, but in general only one class will have a main method. Sometimes students can have too many main method here. They created main. Once they start running from the menu here, from the run, that will be running by default whatever that is connected. If we have different classes which is also carrying main method, meaning we have to select that particular class, and we can right click over there and we can choose run. Then it is also possible to run. Okay, this is what's shown here. Run method can be followed here from the main menu, or you can also find the shortcut menu as like previous year. There is a shortcut menu here. You can also follow this one, or from the menu here you can also select to execute the program. So this is all about this this part of discussion. So what we discussed here is we discussed about the features of Java technology. We discussed about the object-oriented concepts. We have seen different phases of Java program and the importance of JVM, and we have also seen how to work with the NetBeans IDE. So this is all about this course. Thank you very much for watching this video, and you can also look into the other video for further learning. Thank you very much.